Bring us your baffling.
Bring us your audacious.
We want your sticky notes, sketchbooks, and scribbles. Let's pin them to the wall, kick them around.
Kick them around, see what happens.
Because we're in the how do I get this startup off the ground business.
The taking your business, global business.
We're in the problem-solving business. 400,000 people.
Ready to help you solve problems while they're still called opportunities.
From figuring it out to getting it done.
We're here to help.
Well, I think anywhere in the country, as you look around and see people who are not naming a starting quarterback, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama. I mean, that's kind of, if you've got a chance for a few more days of intrigue, you probably are going to utilize it. Not that it makes a whole lot of difference, but we're about the same. So anything that we slash, we may know the answer, how we're going to do that. It may be the answer is we're going to slash play them. We make that last moment, but I think everybody knows what ours are. You know, quarterback, we're looking at a couple different guys in different ways, so different options. So we're not going to change anything there. So you can stay with the starting lineups as they are designated, and we'll probably make our call at game time.
Is there any clear, I don't want to say winner, but any clear advantage either quarterback had during fall or preseason camp?
You know, and again, with Kyle Pohl and Trayvon Chapman, I think both of them showed us exactly what they can do and why they are where they are. Kyle Pohl is got 2 years of starting experience. He knows how to run our offense, and he's been under a pressure in a lot of games, and he comes out and knows what to do. We kind of know what we're going to get with Kyle, and so that's good at times and not good at times, because there's the Trayvon Chapman, you don't know quite what you're going to get, but there's a lot. There's a real good upside, and there's the chances of mistakes they're going to be made with a guy that has not started at the Division I level at this point. And so, but I think both of them did everything they can do. They both are exceptional at certain areas of the game, and we're going to try to utilize that.
At the same time, Kyle has more experience with respect to games like what you're dealing with
Right.
this weekend, nearly pulling off an upset against Michigan and being instrumental in a game against Pitt last year.
Mm-hmm.
That would seem like an advantage to me.
Well, I mean, that's his stuff when you weigh the balance of these things and say, okay, who's the guy that you want to play? That's Kyle. Kyle has been in some very big games and has had to go through the butterflies the night before being in those games. And so, but you recognize that. But at the same time, at some point in time, the best guy's got to play. And so Trayvon Chapman's got to be recognized for what he can do. So, but those are all factors that we weigh in this first game is who's going to be ready to line up in this first game and play. So we'll look at all those things and see where it goes. But Trayvon Chapman has been raised around football all his life. That's what he's done. He's been in a football family. His father's a football coach. He's been an outstanding football player all his life. And so you don't really you get there by having a little bit of confidence in yourself.
Coach, having said
Mm-hmm.
you're not ready to say who's going to start,
Right.
will one guy play or the other? Are you ready to say, hey, we're going to commit to one guy once the game does start?
No, I'm not really going to do that. Yeah, we're going to make some decisions. We've made some decisions, but that's obviously an option that we don't have to talk about. We're going to start one, we're going to start the other, we're going to play both, and so those are all options. And but there's absolutely no reason to discuss that one on Tuesday before the first game, because they are a little different, you know, in the way they do things, you know, and so. To prepare for both of them is the best option. You know, I guess I could be dishonest. Say, well, I'm definitely going to play both of them every play, and have one of them in mind. That wouldn't be very fair to the other guy. But as far as a gamesmanship, that would be part of gamesmanship, I'm sure. But it's not going to. I'll not say something that I shouldn't say. I'll just not say it.
Coach, you talked about the quarterbacks. Let's go I'll go another way. First of all, your receivers.
Mhm.
You lose LT, you lose Zach to graduation.
Mhm.
According to the depth chart, you moved Jerome from the defense to the offense.
Right.
How was his learning curve?
Right.
win? And will you lean on people like Amani and some of the others? Austin Wolf saw time last year, and Andrew Pratt to
Right.
in AJ's offense.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked. I mean, the receivers. We had a bunch of them banged up for a whole week, and it really just messed up our progress for the first week. But when you got everybody back, and you've got Andrew Pratt, Terrell Goodman, Imani Davis, Austin Wolf, who broke his hand last year, but has been here 2 full years and is a really strong, great speed and size. Along with Michael Means, who came in out of junior college in the spring, was here. Freshman Richie Cooper is playing very, very well with maturity and will play, along with Anthony Young. And even A.J. Coney, who's been on the team but got hurt in the spring, we moved over. So there's some nice combinations there. I think we got used to seeing Durazio. Well, Durazio got hurt a good bit. We got used to seeing Durazio, especially LT out there. But we've got some people that have played as well. And I like the athleticism of what we got out there. And I think they will fit in fine to what we want to do.
Is Connor going to be the number one running back?
Connor's number one. I think Donnell Alexander, who transferred in and set out, he got banged up and missed, and he really hasn't been able to earn. I mean, you have to give it to Connor. He's been steady. He's been our best day-to-day player, and he's played a lot of football. He started games here. He's got a lot of reps. He's had some big games. Against Pitt last year, he had his big game there in that game. And so Connor's been one of the key leaders by example on our football team the last 3 years. So he's ready to be the starter. Donnell Alexander has had a lot of experience and played very well at Colorado State at times. So he's right there. And I would say Hakeem Lawrence and / Van Edwards, the freshman. Van Edwards is probably one you're going to see as a freshman coming up along with that group. So, but again, you want to. I don't think we've got one guy that's the guy at that position, but Connor Hundley is the number one by far.
Finally, on the offensive line, are they in good shape for Oklahoma?
The offensive line. This is one of those no-name guys that the only way they can be good is to be 5 together, because you've got 5 seniors, and most all of them have played. And they have great chemistry together. Darryl Funk, our offensive line coach and run game coordinator, who came in from Michigan, has really gotten a very cohesive group there. Don't have as much experience at key. We have a couple of key freshmen and backups that got to pull through in case something happens. And we've got some really good players that we're seeing now that are young that just need to get their time going. But I think the strength of our offense has got to be the 5 of these seniors playing together and being cohesive and doing that. And I think before it's all over, they can be pretty good as a group. I don't know. We've had I think if Jared Pugsley ended up being a heck of a tackle for us the last couple of years, individually by himself and some individuals. But I think this group is just as a group, you've got to like them as a group. Dylan Brumbaugh, probably the most experienced, a big guard that we've got there, left guard.
When you change, we know when people change coordinators, things happen. I think this offensive line's had 3 coaches.
Yeah.
Is that as difficult for them as it is to change a coordinator or something?
All 3 line coaches I've just thought were fabulous. We just had tragedy cost us 1. John Peterson came through, did a great job, got offered a super job at Pitt, and then we just fall into Darryl Punk. And these guys are such veterans, and they've worked with so many different quality head coaches and styles. They were all capable, of coming in here and doing what they did. But the linemen have to learn a little bit of different nuance and technique. But it's been very seamless in the move. Darryl has brought in a great addition to just his background of experience. Was not better, it was just different. And so, he brought that in and really added to what we're trying to do. And so I think that goes into what has made these guys so close. They've been together. They've been through different coaches and have responded. They've pulled together through that. And so it's a nice bunch when you look at Isaiah Williams, Dylan Brumbaugh. Andrew Bohan moved to center where it's his natural position, and he moves in at center. Tommy Brown and Quazon Osborne. Just a really good group of guys that they will play well together.
You're playing Oklahoma, obviously. What are you least worried about going into this game and starting the season?
The least worried about the way the players responding to the game. I mean, it's not just probably Akron, but we have a game like this every year, and it's a game like this that we have to get mentally ready for, where we're paid to go play at somebody else's field. It's considered a one-sided game to some extent by outsiders who look at these things, and our guys have learned to go out there and deny the odds, disrespect for the odds from back when we weren't very good that first year and playing Tennessee and tied up in the fourth quarter against Tennessee. That one team that really wasn't that good, but for us they were plenty good for us at that point. And of course Michigan, Penn State, Pitt, and on down the road. So I think our young men will not go in and just be in awe of one of the great venues in college football. And Oklahoma will be, unlike some of the other teams we played, they will be very athletic. That's one of their trademarks, is they'll have offensive linemen that look like defensive linemen and defensive linemen that look like linebackers. That's just over the many, many years that I've played against them, I've coached against them, and I've broadcasted them, and they will have very athletic-looking team. But the one thing I'm not concerned about is our players, I think, and that is they'll mentally get ready to play. Does that mean we can play with them? I don't know the answer to that. We've shown that we can in these big games, and we'll have a good plan. So now, do we want to come out? We want to come out of that game without injuries and things like that. All those things that you have when you have four games in your preseason, getting into your conference. You want to come out with the wins and lack of injuries, and those things is when you get to what's all important in the MAC. In the MAC, you got to remember the most important thing in this MAC is the Mid-American Conference and winning your division and playing for the conference championship. When it comes down to the Final Four and the national playoffs, I think you can dream of dreams, but you know that your goal is to go out there and get yourself in a bowl and get yourself in a chance to win your Eastern Division. So, our kids will be ready to play mentally. And then you just got to, like I say, anytime you get out playing a very physical opponent, just you hope no injuries happen, and you come back ready for the next one.
At this stage, does it bother you, given Michigan, Pitt, Tennessee club, does it bother you when people nationally, even locally, say they have no chance?
No, that's I've been on both sides of this coin now. I mean, to our players, it's not that they don't have a chance, but when you odds makers and people that do things like that, you can't concern yourself with those type of things. There's a reason one team pays the other team over $1 million to play. There's a reason. Let's don't kid ourselves. There's a reason, and the reason we play only there. But this MAC conference, the wonderful thing about the MAC is that we know somebody's going to knock off somebody this week or next week. Next week or this week or the week after, somebody in the MAC is going to make a name, an additional feather in their cap. And we want it to be us. And there's other people in our conference who have done it. We've come close, and we want us to be the team that does it. Last year, Pitt was kind of one in a way, but we want to be that team that this year goes out there and defies the odds. But no, the fact that to ignore what these games are is to ignore how valuable they are to the MAC, how valuable to the experience, our players' preparation, learning experience, and how a football game must be played to be won. It has to be played because history only shows us that there are too many events, and it might not be 50% every year. It might be one a year or two a year, but it shows us that upsets of this type absolutely can happen.
Coach, are there common elements? You talk about how competitive you guys were in Knoxville and Akron State College and went to Pitt. Is there anything you guys, as coaching staff, do to formulate that, or sometimes teams go into those situations and on a consistent basis will get hammered and blown out of that stadium? You guys have been there every year on the cusp. What do you guys do to get these guys ready?
Well, I mean, again, we try to talk about games that these guys have played. You can point to all kinds of games in history and say, well, this day this happened, and that day that happened. I mean, we can look back in our own history and our players that played the games and know how they played. Again, this is Oklahoma. This is no different than, I think, Western Michigan playing Michigan State. Somebody's playing Oklahoma State. I mean, we're in the same. We're out there, and all of us are out there saying we're going to find a way to win these games, and we're going to find a way to go out there and play our best. But I don't know if there's a special. The key is just go out there. I mean, as long as your players understand the game's got to be won on Saturday, and man, you get your good game plan, do the right things, and you just and see what happens.
With Oklahoma, a couple of things about
Uh-huh,
Oklahoma.
right.
First of all, obviously with all of your connections in college football going back many years, I'm sure you know Bob Stoops.
Yes.
Quite well.
Yeah, Bob Stoops and I first crossed paths back when he was a defense coordinator at Florida for Steve Spurrier. I was the head coach at Auburn, and we played several times. I said this to an Oklahoma writer that I coached against Steve Spurrier a lot of years. Steve Spurrier has always been a great coach, but his team became a great team when Bob Stoops became his defensive coordinator. At Florida, they moved to another level, and Steve Spurrier's dynamic offense was matched with their dynamic defense, and we won a couple of games against Florida when I was at Auburn, outscoring them. But after the Stoops got him, we didn't outscore him. I've coached against him, and I've admired him from afar. I've also broadcasted games and done those type of things when I was at ABC. But he's done a great job. He's one of the premier coaches in the country. His record speaks for itself. He's truly a Northeast Ohio guy. That's where he's from. His family is from. That's why when I had to lock the gates extra special, because there's probably 5,000 people around here that are good friends with the Stoops family. But that's a given. If he would have been playing in Alabama, I guarantee I'd have had a bunch of people down there, or West Virginia for sure. But they've done a great job. He's created a monster there. In other words, he's got them winning so much that if they don't win everything every year, it's not the year they expect to have. And so that's what you create out there. And we're gonna go be a part of that thing.
Now, certainly, on paper, your defense looks solid, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got, in all this preparation for Oklahoma, you know who their players are on
Right.
offense, and they've named their quarterback. But they have a quarterback who hasn't played for a while.
Right.
Never played for them. And they've got a new offensive coordinator.
Right.
Coming from East Carolina. So, I mean, how many different films does your staff look at?
Well,
How do you prepare for something like that?
Lincoln Riley,
Yeah.
their offensive coordinator was at Texas Tech,
Right.
and I've known him since he was there. And I would go spend my time studying out there, then and knew him well. A young guy he's one of the guys that's going to be one of the hot names in football for head coaching positions. He was there with Mike Leach, and Mike Leach was the coordinator at Oklahoma when they won their championship, and when I was putting in offenses at Auburn. And my dad at Florida State, Leach was offensive coordinator at Valdosta State, would come visit with us. So there's so much history. The thing that Riley does is he brings them that air raid mentality. They're gonna play fast, and they're gonna keep you moving around on the field, and they've got just a dynamic philosophy, that air raid offense. So Mayfield was transferred in from Texas Tech and is familiar with that. And it'll be interesting. But like I said, their defense was one of the best defenses against the rush last year in America. They gave up big plays, probably hurt them against teams, but they great against the run. Offensively, they've now brought a guy in that really has got a quarterback that fits right into his style, his numbers at East Carolina. So we study East Carolina, we study Oklahoma, we study a lot of those things that we know he likes to do with the offense. And I know they've been good for a long time, but you don't bring Riley in without him having his influence on your offense. So we expect that to be a fast-paced. That's what scares you. They're going to go out there and try to score a million. That's just philosophically what that style of offense tries to do, and you've got to be ready. You got to be ready. Our defense has got it's the strength of our team. But we got to be ready for a ball that can be. They got great running backs, two of the best running backs around, and they've got an air raid offense that spreads you out, so they create big seams for the running back. It's going to be a incredible challenge for Coach Amata, for our players to match up against this team.
So they can still, with P. Ryan, run it just as effectively.
Absolutely. To me, the greatest thing that's happening now in spread offenses and passing offenses is most passing offenses have recognized. I mean, back 10 years ago, you don't care if you rushed for 60 yards a game, as long as you threw for 500.
Right.
600, and Riley was a part of those back at Texas Tech. But now you run the ball. You want to run 175, 200 yards, and they've got the backs to do that. So it's no longer just throw the football. You look at now. I will say that what he's doing at Oklahoma is pretty common in the Big 12. There are other teams, whether it be Baylor, Oklahoma State, a lot of teams, Texas Tech, that are running that up-tempo, fast-paced speed. At Oklahoma, they have a chance to do it with a lot more talent.
And you got some heat. You wanted heat.
Yeah, the heat's very the heat. Yeah, we've had a cool summer, and we've had 2 or 3 hot days, and we needed that because I have never been to Oklahoma early when it wasn't humid, and so we can expect that kind of weather. And another issue that you want to make sure you have a plan for, whether it's the winning plan, it has to be the plan. That is, how many reps do you get with your first teamers before you put your second teamers in? Because you got to make some subs, and you've got to sub, a couple of here, a couple there, and try not to sub everybody at one time.